there's this condition that affects businesses of every size. I don't care whether you're solo or VC funded or bootstrapped or a larger team. Everybody is going to experience this at some point along their business arc. It's a cycle that destroys most businesses that cannot escape it. So it's very important for you to learn how this works and how to avoid it. It's the kind of thing that I've helped countless people, from solo entrepreneurs all the way up to larger teams doing millions every single year. They all face this and they have to figure out a way to overcome it. So what is this thing? It's called the Feast and Famine Cycle. And I'm sure you've heard of this in other contexts. So here's how the cycle works in business. At first, you need cash flow. In order to get cash flow, you need clients. So you spend all of your time on lead generation. Once you finally secure a few leads and get a couple clients under your belt, immediately you have to focus on delivering the results to those clients. So now we focus on the work necessary to make those clients happy. Then we get all of the work done, and then we turn around and look, and there's no more work because we just spent the last several months satisfying the needs of the clients we signed and no time at all generating new leads and drumming up new work. So what do? We look at the cash flow problem and cash flow crunch. We go right back to step one again and start going immediately to lead generation. So what this does is creates this terrible roller coaster effect where we're running out to get new leads, securing them, doing all the work, and then forgetting about all the other leads we have to get into the pipeline for when this work is done. And then we go right back to the lead generation again the second we get the work done. And the thing that most businesses fail to understand is the time gap between signing those clients and getting the work done is often months. So let's give a couple numbers here. The $10,000 a month number is something that a lot of solo people and online people, fixate on and think that that's enough to satisfy them. So let's just start there. That's easy. If you need $10,000 a month to operate to break even in your capital, and your lead generation, say it pulls in $30,000 of work. At the beginning, that $30,000 is awesome because you think 3 months, that's great. But the problem is it takes you 3 months to get that work done. So by the time that you actually sign the client, spend the 3 months doing all of the work and then billing it, plus the lag time in billing, which is a real thing in a lot of businesses, you end up burning through the exact same capital that you secured for 3 months at the beginning, meaning you are literally living paycheck to paycheck as a business now. This is never going to get you ahead. You are going to constantly ride a feast and famine cycle where you are hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, nonstop in your business. And again, this doesn't just affect solo businesses. This is something that affects everybody, no matter what their overheads are or what their teams look like. So how do we escape the feast and famine cycle? We have to create points of leverage. The first is in our lead generation system, okay? Most people are going to rely on a hand-to-mouth sales-driven system where we go out and start pounding on doors until we get as many people as possible to say yes. And then we kind of live this paycheck-to-paycheck lifestyle, only business version, where we get people to say yes, we do the work, and then we go back out and hunt for more. We have to replace that with marketing. We have to replace that with inbound. We have to replace that with methods that can work for us while we're doing the work to satisfy our clients, okay? And that requires that we balance our time in a way that can cultivate and nurture any of those leads without heavy door-to-door salesman tactics. And my content is filled with all kinds of references on how to actually build inbound relationships, okay? And that's really what it is taking the time to build the relationships and the networks, because your happy clients and your happy customers have to be your focus. They have to be priority number one. You cannot just keep bringing in more new fresh meat into the pipeline and expect to live hand to mouth forever. Your current clients are the ones who will come back to you for more work. That immediately fills your pipeline with no inbound or outbound, right? And the second is they will refer you to other people. Word of mouth constitutes the vast majority of transactions in all businesses. It does not matter their size. I have taught literal megacorps this to invert their budgets for years, and it always generates more revenue. I'm telling you right now, if you can't make your customers happy, you better go back to the drawing board. So now let's assume you can make your customers happy. That's going to solve a lot of your lead generation problems right there, which means we have to focus on getting the work done and keeping the high quality going, which is our second point of leverage. This is where people get really screwed, because what they will do is they will end up bringing in so much work they can't get it all done. And then they immediately think I need to hire production people to get the work done. Clones of me, right? Who can get things done so that I can bill that work. The problem that people forget is that when you bring people on to a payroll structure, a typical employee-based payroll structure, the amount that you pay them, you have to triple that on your bottom line revenue. That is what every wealth advisor, every CPA, everybody in the financial industry will tell you, every business leader, if you talk to them, somewhere between 2.5 to 3 times what you pay those people. What does that mean? If I pay somebody $50,000 in order to be a designer for me, for example, I have to generate $150,000 in gross revenue to cover all of the expenses necessary to have that person on board. So you can see how quickly this becomes a problem for people, because in addition to the money aspect, now I'm also a manager. Okay, so I'm not really building leverage just because I bring people on. This is by far one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to labor. They just assume that you can bring people in, plug them in, and suddenly that person's going to solve problems the way I would solve problems. That is not how it works. So we can solve some of that through systems and processes, okay? Most of us are running fairly high-level service-based work that is a lot more difficult to systematize than teaching people how to bake pies and put them out on a shelf for sale, okay? That's a lot easier. That's a McDonald's franchise model. That's something you can put into a binder in a book and teach a 14-year-old how to do. Newsflash, most of us don't do that. And we get into trouble by trying to follow those models. So how do we create leverage in order to get the work done so that we can get more cash flowing? We have to get a team that actually can get the work done, okay? That doesn't cost us so much overhead. That reduces the amount of managerial time that we have to take on in order to make sure that the quality meets the customer's expectation, right? And the best way after 20 years of doing this that I have found is to leverage a team of outsourced contractors, okay? So what we're seeing right now is a massive shift in the economy anyway. All right, the internet alone has shifted everything dramatically. And I know that there are some people who are stuck in this 1997 model where we have to have the brick and mortar space and we have to bring the people onto the payroll and we have to have this massive team so that I can feel like I'm a king on a throne, okay? There are very few business models left that actually require that. And there's a 99% chance if you're listening to this, you are not in one of those models. So what we need to look for instead is how to build a business for the future that can actually solve the problems that the clients have and actually make it easier on us to generate new, more powerful leads as we steadily increase the value of what we do and build the leverage that we're looking for, okay? That requires people who have a high degree of skill set, that require a low amount of managerial need, okay? And that also can help us sort of meet the ebb and flow of the cash flow demands. Okay, there's only one model that can do that, and that is an outsource model. First of all, the top talent no longer wants to work for bosses. That should be clear by now. You don't want to, they don't want to either, okay? The second is that they require a lot less management time because we don't have to sit there and treat them like an employee. See, there's this thing that happens when you hire people onto a payroll, okay? They immediately have this switch in their head that moves to entitlement. And I'm telling you, I may sound cynical when I say this, but it is absolutely the truth. You remove a layer of skin in the game for people, okay? And that is very difficult to do unless you're going to build a fully VC-backed firm that can build a strong culture and attract that kind of talent and build all of those people around you. And few of us really want to do that. Okay, you're going to have to bring something else to the table. You're going to have to find the people who are independent-minded, who have a ton of experience and who don't want to work for a boss anymore, but still want to collaborate to do high quality work. Fortunately, there's more of those people than ever. And the best part, you're not limited by geography anymore. If I want to attract top talent to my brick and mortar company, they have to move to my city and live there. That is a massive competitive disadvantage compared to me being able to take my pick for not only the individual skill set, but also the exact budget, the exact timing, the exact fit, the exact expertise for that particular challenge that my client faces. Because let's be honest, if I build an agency and bring everybody in under one roof, every single one of those people has strengths and weaknesses, and I'm never going to be able to find the perfect people to fit for my client's needs. I will always be compromising on something. In my model, I can bolt on any expert for any need whatsoever at a fraction of the cost that the agency can do it as well. Now, the third component to this is I don't have to pay people for downtime. So when we talk about the Feast and Famine Cycle, one of the biggest problems that you're going to run into is you backfill the production, you get more people in under you to do the work, and now you tripled your bottom line expenses just to get the same amount of work done that you would have done on your own. Now you have to do double or triple time on the sales front, the lead generation tool. You're not gaining any ground. That's how pipelines work, okay? So with this model, with the outsource model, I pay people for what work they do. So if I have a $100,000 budget coming in from a client and I need 3 people to help me get that done. And let's say those 3 people are each $10,000 each. We'll just make this simple. Okay. $70,000 is certainly enough to cover my expenses. And those people get that $10,000 directly paid to them for providing the exact service on time and to the spec that we actually estimate and scope with the client, right? Not a penny more, not a penny less. Versus the agency model, we might go through 3 months at a time where the accounts that they're on aren't paying any money, and I have to pay their overheads whether I like it or not. So when it comes back to defeating the feast and famine cycle, we need to expand and contract on both ends of the pipeline. Okay, so we have the production end of the pipeline to get all the work done when it comes in. That's where we can actually expand and contract with the actual labor to get it all done. The second is the pipeline itself on the front end to get it filled back up, right? That funnel idea to keep that filled. That is where we start to leverage all of the different networking, happy clients, referral systems, and all the different inbound marketing and warm lead content generation, all of these elements that get people consistently built around our ecosystem so that we can feed people in naturally and they're coming to us. It takes a fraction of the time and attracts a higher quality customer. Okay. So we have to build the front end of the pipeline over time. We can build this in a 80-20 or 90-10 of our time and still get a lot of our client work done. If we grow organically and take our time to build up to this, and don't overhire at the beginning to get all the work done, right? And don't overpromise to a ton of people either and suddenly fill your pipeline to an extent that you can't get it all done and then you make them unhappy. If we avoid all of these problems, we can match the pressure of the pipeline on the front end and then also slowly and organically build on the back end. Now, I will tell you this. One of the biggest mistakes that I see are people spending all of their time on inbound marketing for clients that can pay them, right? And it seems obvious because, hey, I need the money, right? And you will get more money. You will get more people flowing into your ecosystem, flowing into your business and sending you work. If you can't get all of that work done, you are screwed. And I'm telling you right now, you can't predict this. What will happen is you'll get into any of the, I don't care if it's inbound or outbound, you'll get into a cycle where you are generating all of these leads and then there will be nothing for 30 days and you kind of feel panicked. And then suddenly on day 32, 3 people will be like, hey, I'm in. We're good. And you're like, oh, great. I can fill the pipeline with those 3 people. And you say, yep, let's do it. Right. And you start getting to work. Day 35, the big fish comes in and says, hey, we had a meeting yesterday. I want to bring you in for that contract for $200,000. Do you have time? Uh-oh. You just committed to handling all these other smaller fish that are going to take 3 months to get done. And now the big boy wants to bring you in. And you have no way of getting it all done. You can't tell the other people no. You don't want to put the big fish off, but you made the biggest mistake that I was mentioning earlier. And it's this: you did no marketing whatsoever to attract the team around you of contractors who can help you get that work done. And suddenly you panic. And what most people will do is, again, they'll run out and either panic hire, which is a massive mistake, or they will panic outsource, right? To people that they don't even really know, don't really trust. And now you're literally, when you do that, you're literally, it's like bringing on a bad employee that might have less overhead, but you have the same managerial nightmares. Okay. This is a massive mistake. So one of the things that I teach people how to do is to not only build their inbound pipeline of all of the different high quality leads, the referral system, word of mouth system, everything that keeps that pipeline filled on the front end. I also teach people how to market and build networks to build an ecosystem around you of high quality players, of collaborative people who are looking for opportunities to help you solve bigger problems and bigger challenges, of unique specialists, so that the moment the client says, I have this need, what can you do for me? I say, I have somebody for that perfectly. We can integrate them into the team, right? If you don't spend time, especially early on, building that team, even like long before you need them, you're going to run into this problem. You're going to catch the whale on the hook, and there's nothing you can do to land it and take advantage of it. All right. So to sort of recap this issue with the feast and famine cycle, what we need to do to level out that feast and famine is we need to be able to create systems and processes for inbound marketing, referral systems, word of mouth systems, and above all else, keeping our clients happy so that they can come back to us constantly. Okay. And on the backside, what we need to do is make sure that we can expand and contract as necessary to handle the influx of work when it does happen, because it will happen. And we then take down that massive crest of the roller coaster that's going to create that bottom on the other side. We level that out so we can bring them both into alignment for your, again, front end of your pipeline and the back end of your pipeline. So we effectively leverage our branding and our marketing and our networking on the client side, and exactly the same thing in its own way on the network side, on your ecosystem side. You get those two right, and I'm telling you, you are building what is truly the new hub model business, the model that I espouse more than anything. And you literally have no ceiling. I'm telling you right now, you literally have no ceiling. You can do millions per year with top talent and not increase the amount of time necessary to manage and make that business propel itself forward in the future. So if you have any questions about any of this, reach out to me. This is what I do, okay? If you're in a spot where you are dealing with the feast and famine way too often, and it's just way too stressful, and you notice the fragility of that, it is time right now to figure out how to solve that. And there are some simple and specific steps that you can take to solve that problem. So leave your comments, questions. Take care, everyone.